Okay, good morning everyone. Today's topic is about the sorting. Today we'll be seeing about insertion sorting, quick sorting and shell sorting. So first let us see insertion sorting. So what is insertion sorting is, we will try to find the successive elements. That is, we will try to find the position for the successive elements in a sorted place. Okay, so your array will be divided into two parts. That is, one is a sorted array and another one will be unsorted array. Initially, what you will do is you will take the first position as a sorted position. From the second position, you will try to find the sorted position in the left end of the array. That is the topmost position. So you will try to find the sorted position for the top end of the array and you will try to insert the element. After insertion, we will go for the next element. For example, if I have given with 5 elements, so I am choosing 36, that is which is in blue color. I will be choosing it as a first position. Now that 36 is going to be a sorted array and the remaining elements are unsorted array. Now when the loop gets incremented, the first element, the second element 24 will try to find the correct position where it has to be inserted in the sorted array. So when you see that it is less than 36, so 24 will become first and 36 will be the second element. When you take the third element, that is 10, again in the sorted, you will try to find the position where it has to be inserted. So similarly, it will work for 6 and 12. So when you see 12, you can see it will be inserted in between 10 and 24. So this is the concept of working of a insertion sort. So what will be our strategy here is, you will search for an insertion point from the beginning of the array and we will shift the elements one step down to make a room for the new element. Then we will compare the item with the current array before you try to swap it. So when you see an example, now I will show you how it works iteration wise. So the first position, that is 0th position, is being considered as my sorted array. When j is getting incremented, so 7.42, if you see with the sorted element, now 7.42 is bigger element, so it will be added as the last element in the topmost. So the gray color represents the elements from the first position till that gray color position will be a sorted position. So I am talking about this one. So up to this, it will be a sorted one and the rest will be an unsorted one. So when you see for the next element, so 56, so it has to find a position where it has to be done. So it will swap with each and every element, making a room for its correct position. So it will again compare with the first position and the second position. You can see it will have a swap and it will go to the next position. So now first, second and third positions are sorted. So up to this, it has been sorted. Now we'll go for the next element. So 1.12, again it moves, it finds its position as a second element. When 1.7 comes, the next element, it will be inserted in the second position, that is the index value 2, it will be getting inserted. So what happens is, it will compare with each and every element and swap happens between the happens. Okay, so it swaps and it goes to the second position and done. So the next element is iteration 5. You will be taking the sixth element. So index value is 5. So index value 5 is chosen. It will get swapped and it will move towards the first position. So you can see it takes its place in the appropriate position. Next one is sixth element. That is a seventh element. The index value is 6. So it is getting swapped. Then 4.2, it will take its place in fifth index. Then 3, it again compares, moves, and it will go into my insertion point. The next is, last one is 7.71. It is greater than all the values, so your iteration is done. So this is how the insertion sort works. So I can give you as a whole diagram. You can see the green color separates the array into a sorted list and an unsorted list. So when 55 comes, the second position, it will try to find the position in the sorted array. So you can see where 55 is inserted. I have represented in the green color. So this is how 4, 66, 28, 31 and everyone will work. And finally, when the I loop iteration completes, you will be having a sorted list for the insertion sort. So this is the coding. So you can see this I will works for only with the sorted elements, and J will be working with the unsorted elements. So next sorting we are going to see is a quick sort. So quick sort, what is the difference between insertion sort and quick sort? Is in quick sort is similar to insertion sort, but here the insertion will not be compared with all the elements. You will be choosing a pivot element. So here in the set of elements, you will choose one element as a pivot element. So the pivot element is purely our own desirable element. So it can be in the first position, or it can be in the middle position, or it can be in the last position. So what you do with the pivot element is you will divide the remaining elements into two subarrays. Okay. So one subarray which will be less than or equal to the pivot element. The second subarray will be greater than the pivot element. So you will do recursively with the each and every subarray based on the pivot element. So the subarrays will be created only based on pivot element, and the sorting will be carried out. So you'll see an example. Now, if this is going to be my given array, I'm going to choose 40 as my pivot element. So it is our choice. We are doing the choice. So I am taking it for our understanding. We are choosing it as a first element. So what you are going to do here is, based on the pivot element, I'm going to have two indexes. So one index I will check it is whether it is greater than the pivot element, and another index will be checking whether it is less than the pivot element, because it has to be split into two subarrays, right? So what I do here is I'm going to use here as a too big index and too small index. So what is too big is, it will compare the index value 20 with 40. Okay, so it checks whether it is greater than the pivot element. So big index will check whether the element is greater than pivot element. The small index will refer the element which is smaller than the pivot element. So first thing is, we'll increment with the big index. So 20 is not bigger than 40, so big index is getting incremented. Again, 10 is not bigger. Now 80 is greater than pivot element, the big index stops. Now what will next step is, we will check with the small index. Now the small index will move. It has to check whether it is greater than the pivot element, then it will get decremented. So it will move until it finds a smaller element that is less than 40. So you can see 100 is not less than 40. 30 is less than 40. Now what happens is, a swap happens between 30 and 40. So this will make that you are going to divide the subarrays, that is, you are going to divide the array into two subarrays. One is less than or equal to the pivot element, and another one is going to be greater than. Now what happens is, 80 will be moved over here and 30 will be moved over here. You can see 30 and 80 swap their spaces. After this, again we will continue with the same process. Now big index, whether it is greater than the pivot element, yes, so big index stops. Next we will go with the small index. So 80 is smaller than 40, no. So 7 is smaller than 40, yes. So what happens is, a swap happens between 60 and 70. Both will change their places. Now 70 and 60 are getting. Then again we will repeat the same process. Big index will go to the next value. 50 is greater than 40. So we'll stop with the big index. Now small index will be getting updated. Checks whether it is less than, no. 50 is less than, no. 7 is less than, yes. Now you can stop your process when big index and small index crosses their values. You have to stop your process and you will shift the pivot element. So you can see here, what happens is, you will swap the small index value and the pivot element. The fifth step is to swap it. So when you swap, 40 will get its appropriate place and it will be divided. Now you have two subarrays with you. One is 20, 7, 20, 10 and 30. The second subarray is going to be 50, 60, 80 and 100. So you will not be considering 40, because 40 has found its exact position where it has to be done. So what are the elements that are to the left of 40 will be less than, and what are the elements that are to the right of 40 will be greater than. Now you will recursively apply the same process with the first subarray as well as with the second subarray. Now we are going to do with the first subarray. Our pivot selection is always going to be first element. So 7 is chosen as a pivot here. So here 7 will be my pivot element. and you will do with 20, 10, and 30. Same way, big index and small index, whether 20 is greater than 7, yes, so big index stops. Small index 30 is not smaller than 7, 10 is not smaller than 10, then 20 is not smaller, so it get crossed, we stop the process. 7 is in the exact position. Now what happens is 7 is done. There is no left side for 7, only right side subarray is there. It's a recursive call, as I said before. Now between 20, 10, and 30, 20 will be chosen as a pivot element. Okay, so before going to this, we'll go for the right end of the 40. So here 50 is chosen as pivot, 60, 80, and 10, same way. Big index is greater than 50, and small index you have to check. So I will check. There is no element. Both the index is getting crossed, so 50 will take its place. Now I have two recursive calls, one for 7's right side and another one is for 50's right side. Now these two are going to be carried out. So 20 will be chosen as a pivot element. 10 and 30 alone will be taken for my comparison. So you can see 30 will be less. So your swap happens. Then finally 10, 20, and 30 get swapped. So you can see the second half is already in the sorted manner. So I am leaving it out. I'm not showing how it is going to be carried out. Now, what do you do with the analysis of quicksort? So what is the best case and worst case running for the quicksort element is? So here the quicksort is mainly based on the pivot element. So if the key elements which is going to be chosen as a pivot, it should be in a uniform distribution. So if you are choosing a wrong pivot element, then it will enter into your worst case scenario. If you are choosing the very exact pivot element, then it will be a good one. So how do you say it is a best case and worst case? Based on the pivot element, the two subarrays contains equal number of elements, then we say it is the best case. Otherwise, it is called worst case. For example, if I choose 2 as my first element as my pivot element, and you can see already my list is sorted, means you will not have two subarrays, you will have only one subarray, and the entire my process will be carried out with this process only. Okay, so you will be carrying out with only one subarray and it will be recursively called again and again. So you can see here it works like this, and 2 will be made as 1. Then when next step comes, 4 will be the merge, 10 will be made as a pivot element, 12 will be made as a pivot element, and it goes on with one end of the list. So this is the worst case scenario for the quicksort analysis. Okay, so this is the coding part. How do we do quicksorters? So we will have 3 functions here. The first function is going to be the quicksort function, so which will be a recursive call. So you will tell what is the array element or subarray elements, what will be the first element and what will be the last element. So based on that, your quicksort works. Inside the quicksort, you will be calling the next function called pivot element. How do we choose the pivot element for the subarray? So if it is with the first half, first and middle position has to be calculated. If it is the second half, middle position and last position has to be calculated. So that is the function pivot will do. So I have given a separate function for swapping purpose alone. So if I give 2 arguments A and B will be getting swapped in this process. So this is the algorithm for the quicksort. You can see here. So when you give an element, so it will always check whether the first position is always less than the last position. If it is done, then I will choose my pivot element. Okay, then I will perform a recursive call for the quicksort. So each time it will be given with an subarrays based on the pivot element position. So first position with the pivot element and from the middle position to the last position. So what happens in pivot element is I am just choosing my first element as my pivot element and I will be comparing for my swap operation. So this is how the quicksort algorithm works. Now, what will be the worst case? So how to improve the quicksort? So the best case will be having the complexity of O of n log 2n. Okay, right? So how do we improve the quicksort is? So based on the pivot element selection, we can improvise the quicksort efficiency. So quicksort efficiency can be improved in 2 ways. One, by using median value of 3 elements. So you will randomly choose 3 elements and find the median value and use that medium value as our pivot element and you can carry out your quicksort process. Or else you will divide the sub array elements into 3 parts that has less than 3 elements. Okay, so and you will assume that the subarray which you have chosen is the best option. So that is considered to be as a brute force approach. I decide that these 3 arrays are going to be my best case. So these are the 2 ways we can improvise our quicksort efficiency. So the next is going to be shell sort. So it is called a diminishing incremental sort. It's a different part of, it's a totally different from what we have seen already. We tell shell sort is an advanced sorting technique. Why, sir? So the number of comparisons what we are making is will get reduced in total. Okay, so the distance between the comparison, that is, instead of comparing with each and every element, there will be a comparison between some stage by stage. So the last phase you will be comparing with the adjacent elements and you will get your sorted list. So when you see an example, you will understand how shell sort is performed. Okay, so you can see here, this is how it is being done. So if you have an array, so only these parts alone will be compared for the first iteration. So only these parts alone will be compared, and all these 4 elements will be sorted and pushed into their corresponding locations. So suppose here if I have 1, if here it is 15, here it is 4, and here it is 10, and here it is 1, and it will be 8, means after the swap it will be having the position as 1, 4, 10. Sorry, it's not 10, you will have 8 over here. So you will have 8, then you will have 10, and you will have 15. So what is happening here is I am not comparing with the next position. I am comparing in stage by stage. I am doing my comparisons here. So how it will be working for the next stages, the second position and the corresponding stage. So here the interval is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here the stage improvement is 5. So next from the second position, plus 5, 7th position will be compared, then plus 7, 13th position will be compared, plus 5, 18th position will be compared, then you will compare the 23. So this is how your comparison will be carried out. Okay. So we can see next the 3rd position, then 4th position, then finally the remaining elements will be compared. Okay. So here when you do the empirical analysis, the shell sort is best for when you have a limited number of elements. The number of comparisons will be the best choice for the number, but it is not the best choice for a bigger list. Why is it so? Because when you have 1000 elements, the stage by stage comparison will increase the number of comparisons here. So the fastest algorithm is shell sort, but it is only efficient for a medium size of array. Okay, and shell sort is faster than bubble sort. It is 5 times faster than bubble sort, since bubble sort will be, if you have 10 elements in bubble sort, you will be comparing with 10 into 10. So when you apply shell sort to this, it will be less than the bubble sort comparisons, but it is twice as fast as the insertion sort. Okay, but the insertion sort will be a closer one to the shell sort. So the disadvantage is, when you are applying shell sort, it is more complex when it is compared to other sorting techniques like merge sort, heap sort, and quick sort. So shell sort is still significantly slower than these elements, because you have to make the best choice on what change you are going to compare, or on what basis you are going to compare, right? So that will be the problem for the shell sort technique. So the best case is when array is already sorted for a shell sort, then that is the best case, because the number of comparisons done will be very, very less. Okay. So the worst case is going to be the choice of the sequence, that is the stage sequence, what you are going to carry out your comparison. That is the worst case. If you are choosing a bigger number, or if you are choosing the smaller number, the comparison will get increased by the iterations. Okay. The second problem is the pair of increments are not necessarily either to be a prime number, or it can have a smaller effect. So if you are choosing a smaller value for my sequence, then it will be resulting in a little bit of complexity. Right? Let us see an example. Now I have an example 18, 32, 12, 5, 38, and 33. So this is the element. So how many elements we have? We have in total 8 elements. So I will calculate my sequence, that is the stage sequence, which is going to be Floering operation of n by 2. So what will be Floering operation of n by 2 is? It will be 4. So I will be comparing 4 elements. So see here how it will be compared. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 4. So you will be comparing like this. So this will compare with this. This will compare with this. This will compare with this, and this will compare with this. So this is the first step. You will be doing it. So you can see I have given different colors. So 18 will be compared with 38. See whether it is sorted. Yes, it is sorted. So no change. 32 and 33. It is also sorted. So no change. 5 and 16, it is also sorted, so there will be no change. The next iteration is, so you can see the last one is 5 and 2. When you compare with the 5 and 2, you can see it is not sorted, so you will get sorted with the space will be shifted away. So you can see here 18 and 38, 32 and this, and 12 and 16. These three are not having any swap. So no swap happens between here. But when 5 and 2 is compared, okay, you can see 2 is less than 5. So what happens? A swap happens here, and 2 and 5 will switch their positions. So now the resulting list after the increment pass, that is for the sequence 4 is, this is the element. Now we will decrement the sequence. So sequence will be decremented to 2. Okay, because the previous sequence is 4. So you will take 4 by 2 here. So 4 by 2 means 2. So what happens is you will compare with this in this fashion for each element. So you will be having like this. Okay, so I will rub this. So you can see in this color 18, 12, 38, 16. Now these 4 elements will be compared and it will be sorted. So 18, 12, 38, 16 will be compared, they will be sorted and they will be pushed into here. So what happens? 12, 16, 18, 33. So this is how it will be done for the first pass. The second pass is you will compare with 32, 2, 33 and 5. So these will be compared and they will be sorted. So now when it is sorted, you can see it will started with 12, 2, 16, 5, 18, 32 and 38 and 33. So after that, we will again reduce the sequence. So Floering operation 2 by 2, it is going to be 1. So each and every element is now going to be compared. We will compare all the elements and finally you will get your sorted list. So this is the algorithm we are going to work. So here, whenever we are trying to swap the elements, we will be using an insertion sort over there because insertion sort is the best sort. So we will be using insertion sort as a part of our cell sorting process. So this is the comparison we will be doing it each and every time. So the comparisons plus is the sequence. So this speaks about the stage sequence for the comparison. Okay. So initially it will be of if you are given with 8 elements, so you will be having with 8 by 4 or 8 by 2. So you will take a Floering operation and you will perform the process. So this is the algorithm for a cell sort. So, and this is repeatedly we will be doing it. Now let us go for the analysis. So in the analysis, you can, so the time complexity is what stages the comparison has been done. So that will take log n time. And each stage, when you are making comparisons, that will take O of n time. So the overall algorithm will be taking the complexity O of n log n. So what will go wrong in the cell sort? So here, when the number of element is large, okay, if you have too many numbers or more than 100 elements, the last phase of your cell sort, you will be comparing with each and every pair of the elements. So that comparison will be similar to the bubble sort. The only difference between the bubble sort and the cell sort is the swapping of elements will be lesser when compared to bubble sort, whereas the number of comparisons will be as similar to the bubble sort. So if you have 100 elements, each and every element has to be compared with everyone else, and that will be similar to your bubble sort comparison. So that is the problem with cell sort technique. So when you are trying to run your cell sort algorithm, so you have to try to run with the odd number of values or with a subset of elements. So when you try to run that, you will know how it is cell sort will be working off. So that's all for today's class, Mark. Okay. So there is no other topic beyond that last 5 minutes. So hope I have done this. If you have any doubt, you can ask